Computer. All right. Hey, everybody. This is Ryan Casey, your Washington Division Manager, and I am here with Lia Push, one of my favorite people all time. I got to work with her for about 10 years when I was running the Orange County office. You see her every single week on the newsletter. I believe this last week was 562 weeks in a row, over 1,000. And she actually, it must have been whatever, 10 years ago when she went to Greece. She was going to Greece for
11 this summer.
11 years or so. She went to Greece for 6 weeks. And before she left, she had a string of 102 weeks in a row. So over the last, 664 weeks, we're talking about 13 years. She has never missed a week over 1,000 that she's been in the country. So I'm really excited that she's able to join us here. So Lia, today we're talking about SC2 push. Or even SC1 push there, any push periods in general. Do you remember what you sold for your first big push? So SC1 or SC2 push?
I don't think when I first started, because I started Memorial Weekend actually 17 years ago, we had a newer office being developed. And so we didn't have any leaders to show the way really at that point. Mm-hmm. So for us, like selling $5,000 for a push period was like a big deal. Obviously, fast forward nowadays, $5,000 gets done in a day for some of these reps, you know? So it was a totally different, the homemaker was like $760.
So your first one, did you do like 3,000, 5,000? What was?
No, it's about, I think it's in the 3-ish.
Got it. So getting on stage.
I was still developing my leads. And I think that's the biggest thing when you're getting ready for SC1 and SC2, you have to be asking for leads from now. And be not stockpiling them, but keep on doing those appointments to get more leads and get better. I think that's one thing that reps try to do. They try to hoard all their leads just for push periods. And then what happens is they're stale and they don't schedule if it's been too long of a time frame. So you have to always have that momentum and constantly doing appointments. I remember doing challenge weeks of like $4,000 because that's the momentum you need to go into a push period.
Big time. So instead of stockpiling the leads, trying to multiply those. If you have this really good one, instead of saving her for a month for a push period, go show her and get 10 of her friends and then get, more leads from there.
Yes.
That you said momentum week or challenge week. So the week before push period, that was always a big goal for you to have a bigger week to make it easier to go bigger the next week.
Right. So trying to do a $3,000 to $4,000, $3,000 to $5,000 challenge week. That makes it easier than to go into the following. I'll just do what I did last week. The momentum of those leads and those demos with those good.
Instead of trying to rest the week before, you go bigger, and it makes it easier to get those numbers. So, do you know what's your biggest push period you've had?
I've had 2 of them over 30,000. I think one was like 32, 33. They're both around that mark, I think.
That's 32, 33,000 in 2 weeks.
37, I don't know. I have to look it up. But it's in the 30,000. I got those blogs. That's how I remember that I have a blog right here on my desk to remind me I did it.
What kind of work went into a $30,000 push?
Okay. Well, the good thing is, 9 years ago, we started the OC Fair. We finally got into it. And so with SC2, it kind of lined up. The last 2 weeks of the OC Fair was the 2 weeks of the push period. And when I wasn't working the fair, I remember seeing regular appointments and sharing my goals with them. And I remember selling to one lady 2 signature sets, one for her and one for her brother. So it was just, when you're selling and you're doing well, it's funny how orders just come your way, because you have that confidence and you just have that momentum really. So I was working even when I was not working the fair.
So yeah, when you were before the fair, you're doing what's a typical appointment day look like? How many appointments?
Back then, here's the thing is I was always trying to do 20 appointments a week. I remember that being kind of a goal. Let's say if I'm doing, 3 days at the fair, the other 3 days of the week, I would try to do 4 appointments each day at least.
Got it.
And then at least take 1 day off, because I think it's really important to have balance in a push period. To go 14 days straight. Yes, there's reps that do it. That's great for them, but I think you need that 1 day to kind of settle down and just calm for a second, to kind of refocus. And if you need to step it up, you could just relook at your goal. And if you don't, you have the momentum and just build on that with making phone calls. I think that's the one thing we forget to do is we forget to schedule more appointments because like, oh yeah, 5 today, and we forget the phone time to be able to schedule the next day. So that's a big, big mistake that's made is as we're doing well, like we forget to make the phone calls.
So loading up the demos at the beginning of the week, but forgetting to keep phone time in to keep those.
Correct.
Go ahead. Now, when you're talking about a day at the show, a lot of these reps who are watching this don't know about a day at the show. Is that like a 3 or 4 hour shift at the show that you're working?
No, it's like more like 10, 13 hours. Right. And that's another thing that's fatigue.
All day. So when you're talking about taking that day to break, that's a break between 3 days of working 12, 13 hours, 14 with getting there and back. And then on your off days, you're doing 4 or 5 demos. And so then taking a day in between that, definitely I can see, resting up with those. And so if you're a newer rep and you don't know about the fairs and shows, make sure you ask your managers about how to get involved with those, because those are really helpful. Well, let's finish with a few just push tips, whether for what do you prepare to do for a push, and then during push, do you have a few tips to help us out?
Well, definitely before pushes start, make sure you have leads. I mean, the more leads you have in your arsenal, the best. Minimum, to go to push, you have to have a minimum of 50 leads because you can't be calling the same 10 every night.
Yeah.
So I would suggest if you're running low on leads, go back to family members and asking them, hey, who else do you know that since I've been working X amount of years? It's funny how our friends and our family members run into new friends and other people throughout those years, or even if, they probably didn't give you everybody that they know. Yeah. So leads is huge. If you could get like 100 leads and good solid A+ leads, the more the better. That's what you need. That way, and also do phone time at least 4 times a week. For an hour at least. I would suggest 4 hours of phone time, whether it's every night from 7:30 to 8:30, Monday through Thursday, or you go Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday. You have to just figure Saturday morning is a good time. When there's a downtime in your appointments, getting on the phones, alley-ooping as we call it. You're on an appointment. It's like, hey, who do you know from these people that I can call right now and go see them right now? Got it. Is your neighbor home, or whatever it is.
Lots
so
of
it's pretty much, yeah. So leads, phone time.
You sold 2 signature sets. And I have to think that sharing your push goals and things are exciting. How would you communicate that it was a contest to your customers?
I would probably, the way I kind of emphasize, like, when you're starting off the appointment and you're building rapport, it's like, hey, just to let you know, so-and-so, these next 2 weeks are regions a huge, what they call a push period. And I have to, we're going to be on stage in front of 1,000 of our, colleagues, and the top 10, it's a big deal for our region manager to see. Now, my goal is to sell $20,000 during this 2 weeks. Now, you don't have to buy all of it, but any portion that you do buy would really help me out. And you got to say it like that and kind of smile about it, And it's like, I'm going to show you cut coats, the world's finest. There's a chance there's going to be something that you like. My job is not to sell you everything. My job is to find something that you might like that could help you get today, and just kind of go from there.
That's awesome. Well, good stuff. Any final tips for these guys, whether it's maybe their first push period they've ever had? So maybe their biggest week might only be $1,000 or $2,000 so far, to go to 5,000 to 10,000 in 2 weeks. Any advice for them?
The advice is don't focus on the CPO at all. Focus on the number of appointments. If you could just do the appointments, the numbers will work out. So I would say set a demo goal, a service call goal, and stick to that. Whether if you have a demo goal of 25 demos that week, that's what you shoot for. Don't shoot for the CPO because it's gonna really throw you off, because you're gonna do like 5 appointments in that week and like, oh my God, I only sold 2,000. But the truth is you did 5 appointments, so maybe you slacked off because you're selling homemaker after homemaker. You just should have done more work. Yeah. So I think that's the thing, is our skill level gets so good sometimes that we allow ourselves to be lazy, because we're able to do that kind of big numbers or big sales with just 5 appointments.
So focusing on that appointment goal is that big one.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Lia. I know you're super busy and you come out, so I really appreciate that. I know she's preparing for a wedding and selling, her 1,000+ a week. Are you close to 3 million now in sales?
I'm getting close. I mean, maybe by the end of the year, I'll get closer to, I think I'm like at 2.7. I don't know, somewhere in there. I have to look on Vector Connect.
Only about 2.7 million sales. So thanks so much, Lia. Have a great day.
Good luck, guys.
Because that helped you out. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.